welcome to the May 2016 Houston Clutter Coaching Meetup Group. My name is Gayle Goddard. I'm a Clutter Fairy, and we're going to talk about the NAPO conference today. It's a NAPO report. These are all the cool things that we learned at the conference just last week in Atlanta. Welcome, everybody. Say hi.
Hi.
So, like I said, I'm just back from the conference, and I'm going to say to you up front, tonight's going to be a little bit different. We're going to try to show you some things on the computer. We're going to try to show you some product cards, and I'm going to have to refer to stats in the thing, so forgive me if we're like looking away from the camera and doing things to try to make it happen. I just want to give you guys a little bit of the data, which of course I don't have memorized, and the products, which I can't actually show you. I only have flyers and things, so we're going to do our best to show you on the computer, on the camera. Okay, so I don't know if you guys realize it, but there's actually a professional association, the National Association of Professional Organizers in the United States. It's a little scary, I realize. But I'm one of about 3,800 people in the United States.
That's scary.
I know, right? 3,800 people. Oh! And there are also professional associations in the UK, Japan, Netherlands, Australia, where's my list? Canada already. So we're spreading like a plague across the world. And that really means that it's a problem across the globe. Everybody needs help, and we're starting to create that help all over everywhere, which is really awesome. So the conference is a way that NAPO provides training and lectures and exposure to products for all of the people that want to do this for a living. So you can stay up to date, stay current on how to interact with your clients. You can learn new skill sets. And so they have this conference every year, and it moves around the country. And then a whole bunch of organizers show up at a hotel. And I always joke that it's a really, really organized conference. Because you can't be disorganized with all those people in the room that have got those, I am an organizer badge. So we had about 500 and 600 people this time. And great lectures all the way through.
Where were you?
We were in Atlanta, and where it was raining the whole time. Anyway.
Do those lectures appear on the web, video, anything?
They do appear on video, but you have to be a member to look at them. So unless you want to be an organizer, yeah,
they
don't appear for the general public. That's correct. Some of them do versions of them for the general public, like we were just talking about the Minimalist movie. Those guys have their own website and a book and a blog and all sorts of things, and they gave a lecture at the conference 2 years ago, but they also have they're out there pumping their message as well. So there's some of the people that you can get to. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of the research that we talked about while I was there, and then I'm going to talk to you about some of the products I found, and that's the purpose today, and feel free to ask questions as you go along. So the first research project is that, I'm going to say this name correctly, I hope, Dr. Cynthia LaRouche. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. She's at the University of Washington. And she's starting to do a data research project about baby boomers and what they need to organize around health and wealth and legacy information. And NAPO members have been asked to participate in some focus groups as part of this research. So she's starting to publish little bits already. I guess we're a couple years into the process, and she's still continuing the research, but she came back with some we got some stats from her that were presented at the conference. So a few of the tidbits so far. So let me just say the baby boomers are in a range between 50 and 69 right now, that age range, which is a pretty long stretch. And she's making a distinction between younger, so closer to 50, and older, closer to 80, right? The younger baby boomers are more willing to transition away from paper than older ones. I'd have to say that in my business, that is certainly true. The more gray hair you have, the less likely you are to be willing to play with technology or even think about it or give up paperwork. So that bears out with my personal experience. Young boomers have more of a disposable mindset, while older boomers buy things to last and use them until they're broken. That sounds familiar, right? I hear that with my clients all the time. I think that eventually all of the older boomers are going to go away, and then everybody's going to have a real disposable mindset, and I'm really curious what that's going to be like when that takes place. Boomers in general, so like the whole population, baby boomers, are the most disorganized about paper. Of all of the age group, we're the worst. And I guess it's because we're the last generation that was around before computers. Like they were sort of born during our young adulthood. So we remember a life without computers around all the time. I remember very distinctly the very first laptop it wasn't even a laptop, it was a desktop with a yellow and gray monitor that was at my first job after college. So we remember the pre-technology age, and we don't really trust it yet. Basically, that's the truth. Boomers have been forced by certain industries, especially healthcare, into storing information electronically. They want to default to paper, but they're being forced to technology they don't trust. So basically she's saying this is the feedback that she's getting from the people that she's surveying. And she's surveying a bunch of healthcare consumers in this research, and then also organizers like us, people that are going to support the people that she's interviewing. And so part of that data she's getting back is, yeah, everybody's going digital, but we don't like it. Basically, leave us alone. We would rather keep our paper. Then NAPO as an association did a survey about the industry in general in April, so just a month ago. And these are some of the tidbits that came out of that survey. They asked 1,000 people questions about the industry, and it was a long survey, so I'm not giving you all of it. But the first question is, how often do you feel disorganized at home? 44% said sometimes, 24% said frequently, and 7% said always. So a total of 75% of the people said at least they feel disorganized some of the time. So basically all of us, and you are not alone. What best describes the amount of clutter in your home? 44 said some areas were cluttered. 15 said most areas, and 3% said my entire home. The first thing I want to say about that is I'm surprised it was only 3%. And I think people are being a little, shame-filled and shy and not sharing. I was surprised by that, actually, that only 3% said, yes, my whole house.
Well, what about the people that say they never feel disorganized in their house? Do they exist?
They do. It's just a very, very small.
They're lying.
Yes.
That 24%.
Yeah, I mean, the 44, 15, and 3% is a total of 62% of the response. So that means the other 38 either say rarely or no, basically. So it's a little bitty slice, basically. How do you prefer to manage unwanted items? 78% said they like to donate stuff. 53% said they like to give to their family or friends. No surprise there, right? That's the first thing that they ask me. Clients say, where are you going to take it? Who can I give it to, right? Everybody wants it to go to somebody they know or something good that they feel about. But the one statistic I thought was interesting about that was 83% think about the environment always, frequently, or sometimes when they're disposing of items. So everybody picks it up and goes, I'm affecting the environment. So it really is in our minds that, gee, this waste is a mess. But if I can funnel it off to somebody, I guess it makes it feel okay. But I think that's a place where it might back up for us later, At some point, if we feel bad about the environment all the time when we're trying to give it away, maybe we'll feel bad about it when we start to buy it instead. First, you all have to go to the Minimalist movie to see it.
What?
The Minimalist movie. So 64% of people are familiar with the term professional organizer. Yay. That's because of all the television shows, I'm sure. But only 5% have heard of Get Organized Month, which I thought was fun. That's a big deal for us, and we spend the month of January doing Get Organized and running programs, and all the chapters around the country do projects and charity events and all sorts of stuff to promote the idea, and clearly we have some work to do in that area. But At least a whole bunch of people are familiar with professional organizers.
There's only 12 months divide between every cause and the dictionary.
Right, right, exactly.
You need a Hallmark card.
We need a Hallmark card. I'll tell the committee that. This was a good one. 50% would not consider hiring a professional organizer, and which I guess means
They just
50%
haven't
would.
met you.
Well, there you go. Thank you. The number one reason was because they can do it themselves. So this is another place where I think, you know, they're being optimistic maybe a little bit and not reflecting really how they feel about it. Like it's disorganized and they feel like they should be able to do it or they can do it, and they haven't quite faced up to the fact that it isn't quite going to happen that way. So I just thought that was funny. The number 4 reason was they didn't want someone handling their things. Which is one of the things that happens when people are trying to hire an organizer. They're like, but you're a stranger and you're going to touch my stuff, right? It makes people really nervous. It does. So I wasn't surprised to hear that one. 4% have hired or know someone who has hired a
Is that the number one objection to hiring?
No. The number one reason was because they can do it themselves.
Oh, what? Where's the? I'm so embarrassed. I couldn't possibly have somebody come here and look at this.
That was not one of the choices,
That's
apparently.
crazy. That's certainly like one of the main.
One of the main reasons. Well, that's sort of my feeling. I mean, I think that it was maybe they were trying to not be. I don't want to speak for the people that wrote the survey, but. And it may be that they had a list to choose from, and I didn't see all the options that were possible, so I don't know what they did or didn't pick. But you're right. Most people that are calling me have a whole lot of embarrassment about having somebody come.
Touch all my stuff. You just can't see it.
Right. It is, you know, there is a mountain that we have to climb about. It's okay for a stranger to come in the house and touch the stuff. I'm not going to disrespect it. I'm not going to break it. I'm not going to throw it out. I'm not surrendering. You're not surrendering your right to control the stuff. Like when I come through the door, I don't become the clutter Nazi and start taking things against your will. So 4% have hired or know somebody who has hired a PO, which is interesting. Only 4% of the 1,000 people had ever hired or knew them. But they did that because the number one reason they hired somebody was because they had trouble finding things. Right? That seems like the right reason. Of those 4%, 73% would do it again. So I guess once you hire them, then you get how it's useful, but you have to get up to the point of hiring, right?
This sounds like great news for professional organizers.
Right? I think that's the point.
I mean, the copy almost writes itself.
Yeah.
If you hire a professional organizer, 78% of the people said it was like a great thing and they wish they'd done it sooner, you know, or whatever.
Exactly, right? Well, and I think that the boomers are the people that are my demographic, right? Like they're exactly the people, the kids are gone, they're looking at downsizing, they've been accumulating for at least 3 decades, and now they are at this place where, gee, what do I do with it all, right? You've been there. You know what I'm talking about. The kids are gone, poof. And now what do you do? And then there are. So those are just some of the, you know, clever, interesting stats that they told us, which I thought were real fascinating. It basically says there's a lot of you out there that feel disorganized, and there's a lot of you that would like help. And if you hire us, you'll like it, and you'll hire us again. That's the bottom line, right? I'm waiting to see more of the research that comes out of the really statistical person that's doing this stuff at the University of Washington, because that's a very in-depth, ongoing survey into baby boomers and managing their health and their wealth and their legacy and their stuff, and how organizers are going to impact that process in the future. And so that's going to be an ongoing research project that's going to be very interesting. Okay, so let's talk about products. The other cool thing that we do is we have a vendor expo because it's a conference, right? And you got to have people with products. So we're a product-heavy group, I have to say. And we have some really interesting stuff.